Welcome to Celebrating Women in Business Journals. I am your host, Sarah Jenkins. Here at Celebrating Women in Business, we are a welcoming community of women who empower one another through recognition, collaboration, and genuine connection. By celebrating achievements, big and small, sharing knowledge, and inspiring each other, this gives every one of us the power to grow. So today I will be interviewing Debbie Basden from Balance Your Outlook. So welcome, Debbie.
Thank you.
Um, so Debbie calms distressed adults, and would you like to tell us a little bit more about what you do?
Sure, thanks, Sarah. Well, I work with adults who, on some form or other, have anxiety. So that can be anxiety, general anxiety disorder, social anxiety, phobias, especially when they get to the stage where they start ruling your life. So you avoiding going out and doing all sorts of things. I also work with people who have had trauma episodes and still carrying that around, and also people who will complex grief, especially those who are grieving through suicide. So a whole range of people for all different aspects, just helping them to learn to regulate and come back to the present time without everything being in their head or panicking about everything.
And I know that you have helped me a lot on my journey. And yeah, I think what you do is fantastic. And can you maybe go through some of the techniques that you use? Because for me, I had never come across them before.
Okay, yeah. And that's okay because some of the techniques I use are relatively new. That if you consider that it can take almost like 40, 50 years for something to go through with all the case studies, then something that was developed 20 years ago is very new. So that one in particular is called havening techniques, and we just did a little bit because you were feeling a little bit nervous before you hit record. So havening techniques is very easy, very gentle, and it just has three movements. One of them is if you're rolling a marble between your hands. So by doing this, you're creating delta waves, which are the very, very slow ones in your brain, which is the exact opposite when you're having a fright or a panic, because it's like an earthquake, those
Mhm.
brain waves. So the first movement is this one, giving yourself a hug and just give yourself a coach. And the third one that I don't tend to do that often on Zoom because I've got to take my glasses off, which means you've gone fuzzy, is creating hearts on your face. And another reason I don't tend to do this one that much on Zoom is because I often end up with lipstick all over my face. No, I'm okay.
Yep, fine.
And at the same time as we're doing that, then we're also overloading your working memory in your brain so that in the background it can work on whatever issue it was that we started with. So that's havening
Yeah.
techniques. It also works with absolutely no content. So I don't even have to know what it is you're working on.
Hmm.
So if it's something really private and you don't want to talk about it in any way, then it can remain private.
Yep. And
Another one, go on.
so I was just going to say these are really simple techniques that um you can do when you're out and about as well. So, I'll often be doing this or even giving yourself a little hug.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's that yeah, carry on.
Yeah, one of the other ones that I think we also used with some of the work we did together was emotional freedom technique, EFT or tapping.
Mhm.
Many people have heard of that. Even Boy George was doing that in the jungle a few years ago. So there are certain points on our body from here upwards, starting where your eyebrows are, the side of your eye, under your nose, on your chin, on your collarbone, under your arm,
Mhm.
and top of head. Some people don't like doing top of head, and that's fine. But again, at the same time as we're doing that, we're normally repeating certain things, which again relates to the issue that we're working on.
Yep. Fantastic. And I've had first-hand experience working with you, and it I can't describe it. Me myself, I've had quite a lot of counselling. It took years and then it's still I came out the other side and just nothing for me. It just, for me it didn't work. But working with you within an hour, I felt so much better. So if anybody hasn't tried it and who are thinking of trying it, I would definitely recommend.
Thank you. And it very much depends. These techniques, as you say, will work and help comfort and self-soothe, so you can do them by yourself. But obviously, if you're working on something that's quite deep, then I would recommend finding someone who's been trained to help you and guide you through.
Yes, definitely. So, what made you decide to take this and create a business?
Ooh, I was working as a management consultant, living out in Nairobi in Kenya, and working in organizations doing big organization change, team building, so in the headspace of the group MDs, CEOs, and the management team. But there was so much trauma and personal stuff that was coming in that was getting in the way. And when you consider that Kenya had a number of big terrorist events that happened out there, while many of the people I was working with weren't physically there at the time, there was so many people, extended families, etc. So they were bringing all of that into their workshops, into my workshops, which made it difficult to make people feel safe because they didn't feel safe. I then went through a big breakup myself with
Hmm.
with my partner, who was coercive control and all the stuff that comes along with that. So I went into therapy myself.
Hmm.
I then started learning some of the techniques like NLP, neuro linguistic programming, which I could then bring into my workshops. And it's a way of looking at communication and how, as a result of hearing something, we interpret it and we behave accordingly as to how we filtered what the person has said or what we think they may have said.
Yep.
So I brought all that into my workshops and then I got deeper and deeper into that. And some of the people I were working with pro bono were the people that were involved in things like the US Embassy bombing and all that type of stuff, the Westgate shopping mall siege. So I got more and more into the therapeutic side, not just the coaching side. So when I moved back to Wales, just before we went into lockdown and the
Oh,
pandemic,
wow.
then I didn't know the business environment and I didn't want to start getting into starting all of that. So I just continued to do the therapeutics coaching side,
Yep.
which works just as well over Zoom as it does face to face.
Yep. Definitely. And you probably can reach more people by doing that for many reasons.
Well, it means that I don't have the travel
Hmm.
geographic constraints. There are still some people that prefer to work face to face, and if they're around the Swansea greater area, then yes, I work with them. In fact, I also work with some clients in Cardiff or even
Hmm.
up in Llandilo and Carmarthen because that I'm often there when I'm doing networking. So
Yep.
as part of my travels, I stop in and do a therapy session on the way.
Oh, fab. So, what advice would you give to anybody that wants to start a business, but maybe not in the traditional sense?
Ooh, well, I think a lot of things changed with the pandemic. Businesses are no longer always traditional. In
Hmm.
fact, some of the traditional big offices are struggling now to try and get their staff back into the office because we've all realised that working from home really does work.
Yep.
So, if anyone's got a business idea, I'd suggest that they do a business plan, really think it through. Sometimes your hobby is great as a hobby, but is it going to be something that would be profitable, assuming you want to make a profit? There are also obviously people who go into business to make a difference rather than making a lot of money. So
Yeah.
really think it through from what your purpose is, what you're trying to achieve,
Hmm.
whether you've got the business market in your area or whether you, you're going to have to ramp things up. And if so, where can you go to get the coaching, etc., in terms of what you may need to do? And
Yeah.
that can be a sole trader or a limited company or a CIC.
Yeah. And I think, taken from what you've just said there, I think that having I think you have to have a passion for what you want to do. I mean, I've tried multiple businesses and just realized that actually I might be good at it, but it doesn't mean that I'm passionate about it. So it kind of dies away. But so celebrating women in business, it is something that I'm really passionate about, being able to support people. So I think, you know, from my view as well, going into something that you love is really
Hmm.
important, something you feel passionate about.
And also recognize that while you may love doing it now,
Yep.
it's the same as eating whatever favorite ice cream is your favorite at the moment. If you're eating that ice cream continuously, day after day, there may come a point where you think, oh gosh, I can't stand the sight of that. I want to do something different. And
Yeah.
recognizing that's okay too.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that because I think we all often joke that my husband's a bit autistic, but he will have the same sandwich like every single day. Whereas I will have something for 2 days and then I'm like, oh, that's disgusting. I can't eat it anymore. So it's working with your
Yeah,
personality as
and
well, isn't
different things.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, different people, different flavors, different things. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so maybe you've answered this question, I'm not sure. I'm going to ask you anyway. So are there any challenges that you've had to face, and how have you overcome them within your business?
um, yes, and I may make myself a little bit unpopular in this area by saying this. The Valley's mentality, which is a good thing in many ways. And what I
Mm,
mean by that is it's quite a close knit community. People have grown up in their areas and known each other for generations, and still talk about different things that happened way back, even though things have obviously moved on. So for someone like me, arriving as a new import, it's actually taken me a lot longer to get established
hmm.
and to get referrals coming through than I'd anticipated. So I've done a huge amount of networking, partly because that's what I enjoy. I'm curious about going to see new people and new things.
Hmm.
Hadn't realised quite how many castles we have in Wales. I've visited quite a number of them.
I love a castle.
Well, some are just a pile of few stones, and some are a bit more impressive.
Yeah,
So yeah, networking for me, so that I've got out there and become more part of the community.
yeah,
Just meeting people, understanding their business, where they're from, and I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people who face similar issues, but you have to become, certainly with my line of work, people need to understand who I am to be
yeah,
able to trust me, especially if I'm going to work with either them or their friends or people in their community. They're not going to give my name to someone when they don't know me,
yeah,
and that's fine. I get that.
yeah. And there's a marketing saying that which is give people what they want. No, sell them what they want and then give them what they need. And sometimes when we go out there and we talk about our businesses, sometimes people feel overwhelmed. So I think it's having the right language, isn't it? And when you go to different communities, we all put value on different things and talk a different way and stuff like that. So it can be really hard as a business owner, can't it?
It can, especially if you're not as confident. I'm used to walking into places where I'm in the minority, even in boardrooms.
Hmm.
So for many people, walking into a networking group can be very anxiety.
Yeah.
And I'm aware of one person who actually came to a networking meeting with me. We were walking there together, and when they got into the room, they just couldn't cope and they left.
Yeah.
But the fact that they made the effort and actually got into the room, if they told me how they were feeling before we'd actually got in the room, then we could have stopped outside because it was actually a nice day like today.
Yeah.
We could have done a session, impromptu, free, just come for the networking. Also, I think people don't necessarily understand that networking is networking. You're not necessarily there to do the hard sale.
Yes.
For me, I've made so many friends. When I arrived here, I didn't know anyone apart from a friend in Merthyr who died during lockdown
Oh
and
God.
her daughter who's in Pencloud. So I've all the people, including yourself,
Hmm.
are people that I've met since I moved here.
Wow.
So the hard sell. Here's my card. I do this. When do you want to sign up? Isn't going to necessarily win you friends. Certainly isn't
No.
going to influence people to work with you. So I go for a coffee, a chat, get out from the four walls that I'm, and go and explore, see different parts of the country that I wouldn't have necessarily gone to otherwise.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's finding the right networking group as well, because even though I do networking myself, I've gone to lots of different things because I think I like to support other network groups as well. And there are some that really challenge you. I find the mixed men and women ones, sometimes I find that challenging, but in a good way, because men are very much I want to say full of themselves, but they are in a nice way as well. They're so confident, they really are, and I think sometimes I need that as well to be challenged. Um, and then there's really supportive groups as well. And then there's groups with women who are doing really, really well, which is really inspiring. But it's finding the right one, isn't it? And
Hmm.
some of them I prefer more than others, but I won't
Yeah,
tell you which ones.
yeah. But also remember, Sarah, that there's a lot of guys out there who are
Mhm.
also concerned about going to network, and there's probably an awful lot that we don't see out there because they can't do the networking for the same reasons.
Yes. Yeah. It's it's a hard time, I think, being a man.
I
Um,
think it's a hard time for being a child growing up and learning all this stuff, certainly.
oh, definitely, definitely. But yeah, actually, I was on a networking the other day, and so my networking group is aimed at women, and they said that I wasn't very inclusive. And this lady was getting very upset with me about it. Um, But I have my reasons. Like we all have our reasons for the things that we do. And if my group's not for you, that's absolutely fine. Um, but sometimes I think with everything that's going on in the world, some people they find it overwhelming and they don't know how to deal with it. And yeah, it can be confrontational, can't it?
It
Um,
can be. And my take on what's happening in the world at the moment, I think many people are working from a basis of they don't feel okay,
yeah,
which means that they will react in a confrontational way because they're scared or frightened,
yeah.
and then that snowballs.
Hmm.
Whereas if we were all coming from a space of I'm feeling grounded, okay, that person who's just cut in front of me in the traffic, well, they're obviously having a bad day, or they've forgot to set their alarm clock off and they're trying to get somewhere, and it's just like let it go, just let them through.
Yes. And that's something that I have learned more and more. Um, because the one thing I learned over the summer, and I've spoken to lots of people, but this lady, she's fantastic, but she swears. She was swearing at me, and she just said, Sarah, it's not your problem, with some F words and whatever else in there. And it actually hit me in the face, and I was like, it's not my problem,
Yeah.
you know? And we can being like empathetic and everything, you can take in and you can absorb like a sponge, but actually it's putting up boundaries and go, actually, not my problem. I'm going to walk away from this today.
Hmm. And being aware of your sphere of influence, what you can influence and change, and
Yes,
what's way beyond what you can do.
definitely. So I have one more question for you, which you've sort of answered. So many of us know you as the queen of networking.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
what would you say to somebody who is really nervous about going to a networking event? Because as we know, networking can be really, really powerful for our businesses. If somebody's really anxious about it, what would you suggest? And could you help them within what you do as well?
Yes, and yes. Yes, I can certainly assist. Confidence can come with all sorts of things, but also just recognizing the type of place you would feel most comfortable in.
Hmm.
So many of us are familiar with the BNI meetings, which are very, very focused, very slick, timed presentations, etc.
Gosh,
Plus, how many referrals you've made within your group. Now, that's one form of networking, and it's not for me.
no. It gives me anxiety thinking about it.
Right. And then there is the networking groups, which are there to offer a lot more support.
Hmm.
So we're not there to sell our stuff, we're there to share, work out different ways that we can do business, not necessarily doing business together, but where else we could go and do business. So, yeah, just finding out what's available. As you've already alluded to, there are mixed groups, and then there are an awful lot of with female only groups these days as well, and they're very different.
Hmm. Yep,
Where you go is also a very nice venue. So in the summer we can go for a walk
yep,
around Kenfig Nature Reserve, and others are evenings, mornings. So there's a whole host of different opportunities. So think about what would fit in for you, where you think you'd be most comfortable. Maybe even go with a friend the first time, just to
yep,
give you that added comfort. And yes, if you've got anxiety before you go, then yeah, I can certainly work with people to help them understand what it is that's holding them back and why they're anxious, and release that so they
yep,
get excited about going.
yes. I I mean, I think about it as making new friends and finding out. I love finding out about people, so
Mhm.
it's trying to change it and not think about what am I gonna say. It's more
Yeah,
about what are they gonna tell me and ask them questions and be curious.
yeah. And some of the networking groups, obviously, many of them have tea and coffee, some have cakes and all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
But some of them also are more creative. So you can go and join a group that, okay, there's a lot of knitting type stuff.
Hmm.
I pimped up some shoes that made them all glittery, didn't we? You
Yep.
were you
Yep.
were doing that too.
Yep.
So that's a soft way into networking when you're actually all focusing on different activities. I know there's one coming up with painting, and you can do some of those in your
Hmm.
own home through Zoom. You have your own paints, your own felt pens, etc., and you can do it that way.
Yeah. And actually, you're making me think that um, it's good even if they might not be networking groups. They might just be a group of people coming together and doing photography or different things like that. And that is a really
Mhm.
good start because I think that getting together and talking to people is really good for our mental health. Um,
Definitely.
so whether that is just for your personal life or for your business, we can all support each other. And I think we're finding that out more and more these days because like we talked about people working from home, but when we're not seeing people and we're not getting that communication, which I think we as humans need as
Hmm.
well. So yes, well, I obviously recommend networking to everybody anyway. But yeah, it's got many benefits.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience today?
Oh, wow. I think in terms of the social aspect that you've just talked about with networking, if you're feeling that that's a little bit too much, then perhaps just going for a walk with someone,
Mm,
grounding yourself, just being aware and stopping and just enjoying the scenery that you're passing, not necessarily rushing through it. You don't have to do the power walk, you don't have to have your headphones on. You can go out and just listen, sit somewhere, just notice what's happening around you, especially on a day like today. Yes, it's
yeah.
bitterly cold outside, but it looks lovely.
Yes.
Nice and dry. You can go and kick some leaves with all the autumn leaves that are around.
Yep.
And, and if you're in Rouse, go and find another bloody castle.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been lovely to talk to you. So I'm gonna just have a look at where we can find you. So your website is balanceyourOutlook.com.
Yep.
Is there anywhere else that you can be found?
I can be found on LinkedIn. I
Mhm.
post most days Monday to Friday, so people who are on LinkedIn can connect and find me there. Or if people want to contact me, then they can send me a message. All my numbers are on my website, but if you want it, it's +44 7507 978 306. Don't phone
That's
me because I may be on working with a client, but if you
yep,
send me a message or a text, then that's fine.
brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Debbie. It's been lovely to speak to you, and
You too.
I'm
Thanks, Sarah.
sure we'll speak to you soon. See you later. Bye.
Ta-da.